Lawmakers were furious over Washington's Thanksgiving Proclamation, proving that politics hasn't changed much since 1789. Can this history lesson help you understand America and its famous holiday? And can it help you learn English in just 15 minutes? Find out right now on English News Worth Talking About. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to English News Worth Talking About. I'm Dennis Wilborn, the former sailor turned entrepreneur, English coach, and founder of All About English. If you just have to know what it's all about, then you are in the right place. On this show, I break down some of the most popular news stories chosen by my clients to help you reach your learning goals faster. Join me Monday and Friday for a fresh look at the news and why it's worth talking about. Now, this being Thanksgiving in the United States, be sure to stick around and find out some amazing turkey trivia. That's new. All right, as I said, today is November 25th, Friday. It's in Korea, it's November 25th, Friday, but in the United States, it is still Thanksgiving. So today's news comes from the Voice of America Learning English page. VOA Learning English is a great place for materials for English learners from beginner to advanced, and they're all free, paid for by American tax dollars. That's right. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and try to show your thanks by pressing the like button. And if you're feeling very generous, you can also buy me a cup of coffee at the link in the description. And don't forget to stay until the end to find out how the humble turkey got its name. Today, we are going to see that George Washington is or was just as scandalous as the city that bears his name. And it all starts with Thanksgiving. Let's see what it's all about. Oh, I got to share the screen. Yeah, here we go. How George Washington angered lawmakers over Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? George Washington got people angry over Thanksgiving. Who'd get upset about a beautiful bird like that? That's a picture of Norman Rockwell. His freedom of worship picture shows a family and their Thanksgiving dinner. And it's all about a world without discrimination, without discrimination based on religious practice or belief. Yeah, that's what it's all about in America. We don't discriminate. All right. Voice of America Learning English is actually a really great place to read the news. They have news articles, and you can actually listen to the articles. It's a great way to help you fall asleep because they read nice and slow so that you can get everything. Not the same as what we have here at all. Normally, I jump into the vocabulary first, but we're going to do the vocabulary after the fact. So let's just start. This is a historical story. It's a story from history. In September 1789, the government of the United States was only a few months old. George Washington was president, the nation's first. Congress was new, too. Some of the early lawmakers came to the president with a question. Would he call for a national Thanksgiving? That's a good question. One aim was to help unify the young country, which was made of the 13 former colonies, and calling a national Thanksgiving would be a way to bring Americans together. But other lawmakers strongly objected to the idea. Critics had two main concerns. Doesn't that sound just like Washington? I mean, the capital wasn't even in Washington because there was no such city at this time. But lawmakers are objecting to something as trivial as having a day of thanks? Well, let's see. Why are they objecting to this? Well, first, some saw Thanksgiving as a religious holiday. They noted that the president could not use the power of the federal government to urge Americans to follow or not follow a religious tradition. Okay. Separation of church and state. Basically, the Constitution says that the Congress shall pass no law establishing a religion, basically. Second, opponents of the measure believed the president did not have the right to call a national Thanksgiving. That power belonged to the leader of each state, they said. Now, in the end, Washington, well, hold on. The president did not have the right, the right to call a national Thanksgiving. And that is true. According to the American Constitution, the president doesn't actually have the right to call for anything. He can make the recommendation or the suggestion, however, which is exactly what he did. In the end, Washington did formally call for a national Thanksgiving. It was the country's first presidential proclamation. In it, he called for a national day, quote, day of public thanksgiving and prayer. He also tried to satisfy opponents of the idea. Melanie Kirkpatrick is the writer of Thanksgiving, the holiday at the heart of the American experience. She explains that Washington sent copies of his proclamation to the leader of each of the 13 states. He asked them to call a national Thanksgiving on the day he had chosen. Okay, so you see what's happening here. The president doesn't have the right to force anyone to do anything, like, wear masks or get vaccines or any of that kind of stuff. But he can lead by asking for things, which is exactly what he did. A proclamation is not a declaration, it's merely a statement where he's sharing. We'll get into that vocabulary in just a minute. The president was very well respected, Kirkpatrick notes, and so the state leaders all agreed. Everybody loved George Washington. He was, they practically begged him to be the king, and he said no. And when he had thought his time was up, he said, I'm done. And that's why presidents have only 2 terms. They didn't make it into a law, but it was quite tradition, and he started it. In the years that followed, some presidents issued their own proclamations for a day of Thanksgiving. Many others did not. Okay, so this is a tradition, but it's not one that stuck with every single president. And then finally, in 1941, lawmakers in Congress made the 4th Thursday in November a legal holiday. A legal holiday. This Thanksgiving, millions of Americans will gather to eat a meal and express their thanks. Their gatherings may echo George Washington's first Thanksgiving proclamation. In it, the first president made a point of declaring that people of all religions should celebrate Thanksgiving. Yeah, you should have something to be thankful for. That idea is still important. Almost everyone in the country, including immigrants, observes the holiday in some way. Kirkpatrick says that for new Americans, the day can be a rite of passage. In her words, quote, the idea is that once you celebrate Thanksgiving, you are truly participating in a national festival that cements your position as an American. That's a good story. I am not Kelly Jean Kelly. She's the person who read this for Voice of America. Let's look at the words in this story. There's that word proclamation. Proclamation is a noun, an official statement or announcement made by a person in power or by a government. Okay, it's a statement. It's an announcement. It's not a law. It's not a declaration where we're telling you you have to do something. It's merely a statement or announcement made by a person in power. So, is there legal backing behind it? Not a bit. Is it leadership? You bet it is. That's what leaders do. They try to lead. They make suggestions and tell you how to do things, or suggest how to do things, not how to do things. Excuse me. The next word here is echo. Echo is a verb. To have a feature or quality that repeats or resembles something else. So, as in the story, they said, the gatherings may echo George Washington's first Thanksgiving proclamation. Yeah, they may. And rite of passage. There's a very good idiomatic noun. An act that is a symbol of an important change in someone's life. When I was younger, it was considered, actually still is considered, a rite of passage for many young Americans when they get their driver's license. It's kind of a rite of passage into adulthood, just like voting for the first time is a rite of passage into adulthood. The next one, participate, a verb, to be involved with others in doing something, to take part in an activity or event with others. Yeah. What do you do to participate in Thanksgiving if you're in the United States? If you're not in the United States, what kinds of uh, holidays or traditions do you participate in? I'd love to know in the comments down below. And finally, this word cement. Cement can be a noun, meaning the mixture that they use to make walls and all kinds of things in modern construction. But in this case, it is a verb, cement, to make something stronger. So in the article, they said the idea is that once you celebrate Thanksgiving, you know you are truly participating in a national festival that cements your position as an American. And I think that is right on. I'll just end that right there. And let's jump into my favorite my favorite new section called Question Everything. And I think that I'm going to make that my new model. Question everything, because really it's one of the best ways that you can get to know people and the best ways that you can get to know about things that you don't know about. Ask questions. So, first of all, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this scandal surrounding George Washington and the first American Thanksgiving Proclamation? I'd love to hear your opinion. Personally, I honestly think that it's much ado about nothing. There's really nothing going on. There wasn't really a scandal. George Washington was merely suggesting that the country needed something to bring them all together. And was it a religious holiday? Sure it was. Majority of the people in the colonies were religious in some way, shape, or form. They didn't all have the same religion, but they all had some faith. And so to have a moment where you give thanks, hence that word, Thanksgiving, is very important. And to do it together as a nation at the same time, what a great thing to bring everyone together at the same time. I'd love to hear your comments down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Number two, I'm curious. This is just kind of a hypothetical question, but or not hypothetical. Um, I'd love to know your thoughts. What exactly was it that changed between 1789 and 1941? That suddenly, when George Washington didn't have the right to make a declaration or a holiday, a federal holiday in 1789, what changed between then and 1941, when the government did actually make Thanksgiving a federal holiday? Mm, One of the biggest things that changed between those very long periods of time, while there was a civil war that divided the country and ended up leaving the federal government with a lot more power than they originally had during Washington's day. That was part of it. Then the country expanded across the entire continent. And if you want to know more about American history, let me know. I would love to do some series, short videos about American history. And finally, it is Thanksgiving, and I'd like to know, what are you most thankful for? Life can be a real challenge sometimes. And these days, it really seems more so than ever. I find that the best way to face those difficult times is to adopt a thankful attitude and reflect on what you're thankful for. Mm. I mean, right now, I got to say, I am most thankful. I'm thankful for my family. I have three beautiful children. I have a wonderful wife who works very hard to take care of them. I have great clients who come to me and ask me for English advice and all that stuff. And I have the best time of my life teaching people and coaching people and how to improve their English. It's so much fun. Plus, now I got this great YouTube channel. I've got folks watching me over here, and it's it's the time of my life. It's really a great thing. So even though times are hard, yeah, we got recession, we got you know inflation, you got every other kind of shun, and what else can you do but find something to be thankful for? So that's my question to you. What is it that you are thankful for? I'd love to hear in the comments down below. So, because I truly believe that the best way to move forward um, in life is to ask questions about everything. So that's why I have this new section about questioning everything. Okay. I would love to hear more, and I'd love for you to be more involved with this community by showing me your answers to these questions and maybe letting me answer some of your own questions. Feel free to send me a comment or even a DM down below, down there. Feel free. I would love to hear about it. I'll answer your questions, anything that you have. And if I'd love to hear some of the best ones. I will start sharing some of the best answers at the end of each episode when I get some good ones. I want to hear some good ones. And if you are looking for another way to practice your English, you can sign up for a one-on-one coaching session or a group class to get some practice and personalized guidance. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know what you liked the best. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And right now, we are going to move on to a little bit of word history, how the turkey got its name. You know, the turkey is a particularly American creature. I mean, it really is. It has so long been a staple on American Thanksgiving, even though back in the original 1621 days when the first official what they say is the first official Thanksgiving with the Pilgrims, they probably didn't have turkey. They had ducks and geese and things like that, uh, more likely. But it has become known as the official bird, basically. The decision was historically utilitarian, believe it or not. And since 1863, the year President Lincoln made the holiday official, Turkey Day has been used as a colloquial term. That means common spoke for the occasion. Yeah, we all call it Turkey Day. But how in the heck did a new world bird, the turkey, get such an old world name? Well, let me tell you, the common turkey, the Meleagris galapavo, was already domesticated when the Spanish first arrived in Mexico. Well, it wasn't Mexico then, but the same area back in the 16th century. That's the 1500s. They were among the first loot that they brought back to Spain in 1519, which meant they really liked that bird. And finally, the birds got to England in 1541. At the time, the English were thinking about Turkey. I mean, and I'm talking about Turkey with a capital T, because that was when the Ottoman Empire of Turkey was at its height. So tons of new imports were attributed to the Turks by the English, including maize, which is also called corn, wheat, and pumpkins, which were truly New World plants. Okay, if it was exotic, there was a good chance it was given a Turkish name. I mean, think about it. Corn was like Turkish wheat, and wheat was, I don't know what Turkish wheat was corn, and pumpkins were called Turkish cucumbers. Isn't that weird? So as a result, at that time, we got a new bird, and they called it the turkey cock, which eventually they abbreviated to turkey. Turkey was then brought back. This is the really interesting thing. They took it from Mexico all the way to England, and then they brought it back to the New World, and it arrived in Eastern North America in the 1600s after being taken from Mexico by the Spaniards and then to the English. Now, they already had wild turkeys at that time, but not these giant turkeys that we see in the picture on the screen there. So the kind that we roast today, that's the one that they domesticated and had in Mexico. It's probably appropriate, though, because the Pilgrims and the turkey were both recent immigrants to New England in the 1600s. So there you go. The mysterious journey of the turkey. Both the word and the bird continued after that, with expressions being introduced to the English language like talk turkey and to quit cold turkey. Both of those were created using the word, and the bird managed to become a Thanksgiving mainstay. And now for a little bonus. Yeah, that's right. We got two bonuses today: the history of the turkey and some bonus idioms. All right. So the first one here is talk turkey. Talking turkey means to talk professionally or having a professional business conversation also means to speak openly and honestly rather than keeping one's genuine sentiments or opinions to oneself. You don't want to keep things to yourself. If you're talking turkey, let it all out. Let us know what you're talking about. For example, hey, let's face it. This new project is failing. Let's talk turkey about what we can do to make a difference. You might hear that in an office if you're having an honest meeting with somebody. And our next one up here is cold turkey. Also, to quit cold turkey or to go cold turkey. Cold turkey just means to stop doing something right away. Most often you hear that when people are quitting smoking. Uh, for example, some people stop smoking by smoking fewer cigarettes every day until they eventually don't smoke at all. Not me. I quit cold turkey. My wife would love to hear me say that, but that's not what I'm saying right now. All right. And let's talk turkey. If you'd like to help me out and make sure that I don't have to quit coffee cold turkey, then just hit the link to buy me a coffee, and that will help me get the things that I need, like coffee and new equipment to bring you better shows. And I will be very thankful for it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time that we have for today. Don't forget to like and share this show with your friends. Happy Thanksgiving, and always remember to question everything. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget your homework. Share this program with one friend. Hit the subscribe button and try to answer one or more of the questions for a chance to be included in the next video. And click over here to see some news, click over here for talking tips, and always remember, life is an adventure, and that includes your learning.